Alright, howdy fellow Shadow Priests. This video is going to be a little bit of a reaction to the new Dragonflight talents, as well as maybe a little catch up on the recent changes to Shadow Word Pain and VT. Blizzard was like, you know what, the tier set's not really doing that much, so what we're going to go ahead and do is just buff your two other spells. and it's just funny because we've got nothing but nerfs. Like, the whole expansion, Devouring Plague, has just been repeatedly nerfed. They nerfed the Necro Legendary, which does basically, I'm hitting 700s in Arena, guys. I don't know if you've seen our health pools, but 700 isn't exactly the way to get a one-shot. So if we check out, let's just look at my DPS breakdown. So my VT, yeah, Shadow Word Pain hitting pretty hard. I started playing Painbreaker a little bit. It's technically buffed with this change. So Painbreaker is essentially going to consume 8 seconds of Shadow Word Pain and Vampiric Touch, and since those both got buffed, therefore the legendary is buffed. So a little way to look at the damage is, I hit 4 Shadow Word deaths and I did 31k damage, and it roughly hits for about 10k per hit. There's some situations where maybe I did it into a damage reduction, maybe I did it to Death of Sheep when there's no dots up. There's different ways to calculate it, but if we look at like my damage, Shadow Priest can do pretty decent damage, and I'm not quite sure if Painbreaker is going to be the move here. It's averaging about 10k, which is pretty good, a little bit more than 10k actually. So super happy to be able to have like a little bit of on-demand burst, and when I say burst, it's literally just like 10k damage compared to a ret's like 20 or 30k. But it seems to be helpful. There's certainly matchups where using Painbreaker can really kind of handicap you in terms of whether you're able to keep your dots up or not. Like if it's a melee cleave with a Resto Shaman and a DH and a DK, and you use Painbreaker, then you have to reapply your dots frequently, and it could be a little bit of a bummer. So yeah, 16 times and 160k damage, and then these are just going to be going off whenever you want. So yeah, that's pretty much like the retail update. Let's go into some of the Dragonflight talents, which I think is much more exciting, and honestly can't wait to get this stuff going. But I think we have another expansion or another season of this expansion, so we'll try to make it through it alive. The first thing that I noticed is that we have Prayer of Mending back, and if you're like me, old school Shadow Priest, very nostalgic ability. I still remember the sound and bouncing from teammate to teammate. Really cool way to support your team. There's questions of whether or not this is going to take you out of shadow form, and I think that's certainly going to influence whether you're going to take that talent. But for now, without being able to see the scaling and how much healing it actually does, there's a really deep hybrid route you can take. But some of these damage talents look really exciting, and I don't know if I will be going that route right away. So let's just start off right here into Purify Disease, and you basically want to get this so you can also have this Body and Soul / Angelic Feather. Feather back in the day was taken over Body and Soul just because I think you would have more uptime with the mobility. The Weakened Soul debuff didn't exactly line up with how many feathers you can get off in the same duration, so maybe Feather will be good. If you don't want to make another keybind, then Body and Soul is fine as well. Mind Blast prevents a small amount of damage dealt by the enemy. Not like, doesn't sound super crazy. However, we do need to get to this second Twist of Fate, and it's between Improved Mind Blast, which is reducing the cooldown, and I think that might be less effective than this, so we'll see how much damage that actually reduces. Take that. Probably grab Shadow Mend as well, and Improved Shadow Word Death, reducing that death cooldown is going to be very nice. It's almost like they're taking various Azurite traits and conduits and all this stuff and making it into one talent tree, so that way you're able to make your own path and you're not necessarily limited to what piece of gear you got today. So we'll take PI, Power Infusion, Improved Massive Spell, Leap of Faith. Like, these are the things that make Shadow Priest really fun to play because you have all this utility and you can change the game in impactful ways. So we'll take this stuff. Angel's Mercy. Damage you take reduces the cooldown of Desperate Prayer. Desperate Prayer, not like the best cooldown as far as Shadowlands is concerned, but we do need to get to this Twins of the Sun Priestess here, so Gonna take that, and again, we're getting like these legendaries coupled into the talent tree, which is just really fun and exciting because we're able to not only combo them together, but there's other talents where you look at this and you're like, oh man, I would really love to play like short silence, but psychic core is just like a lock. I have to play that every game, and we're gonna see that later on in the talent tree that there are opportunities to go a different route, which is really fun and exciting. And I really am just happy with the way that they were able to design this, especially since the guy Chris Kaliki, who designed the Shadowlands Shadow Priest, is no longer with Blizzard, so they did a good job in his absence, which I might have to walk that back later, but we'll see. Throws of Pain, again, this is like a BFA Azerite trait, just increasing Shadow Word Pain damage. Pretty hard lock. You also want to get this Puppet Master. I think Mastery is super underrated for Shadow Priest, and that is going to go a long way in terms of your DPS output. Translucent Image. We're going to try to get down to Mind Games here, so although this isn't super important, it can be helpful. Death dealing less damage to the caster, also not super important, but yeah, we'll take Mind Games, and hopefully that's going to scale well and hit hard. If I can give any feedback to the devs, is that Mind Games throughout this expansion has done the same amount of damage and has scaled terribly. So you never see a Venthyr Shadow Priest in Arena, and it's sad because that's what we were all like, vampire power at the beginning, and it was super fun. Not anymore, so we'll go improved Shadow Fiend, giving you 1% mana and a fixed amount of Insanity whenever it attacks. Mana, not going to be too important for us, but definitely good for the healers. We'll take the Insanity. Mindbender, this is so the fact that we're going to be able to get Mindbender and then Damnation somewhere over here, also just really fun because Mindbender is super strong. It's our greatest form of like on command burst, but it's just so hard to get away with not playing Damnation that we're forced to take it. And then Shadowflame Prism could be insane. Like it could be really good. This is the highest output DPS PvE legendary, but again, it's tricky to get away with it in PvP because if you don't have your dots up, you are going to be losing all of your DPS, and in PvE that's not a problem. So hop over to the Shadow Tree. VT, DP, and Mindseer. One major source of feedback that I've seen, and I can actually share this with everybody too. I was looking kind of briefly through someone who has much more coherent thoughts on the talent tree, so I'll post a link to this in the description. But major point of feedback, like this is really long to go over, and this guy has his own thoughts, so I'm gonna link that. But one major thing to go over is that these Mindseer and Devouring Plague should be swapped because you don't have to take Devouring Plague because it doesn't connect to anything, but we obviously want to, and we're going to. We definitely don't need Mindseer in PvP, so it would be sweet if we could somehow swap these two and get away with not playing Mindseer. And yeah, so going back in now, we have a choice of 30-second Fear or Mind Bomb. Really cool that these are both 30-second cooldowns. I think that we are going to like this 30-second Fear just because the Mind Bomb does have that dispellable debuff, and it's going to be tricky to get on the healer. So having a 30-second Fear is going to be really, really nice, and this is something I've argued for, like the whole expansion is bring 30-second Fear back because so many classes have these 1-minute Fear breaks, and our Fear cooldown is 1 minute, so a DK is going to Lichborn your Fear, and then a minute later Lichborn it again, and a warrior is going to Zerka Rage the Fear, and then a minute later is Zerka Rage it again, and you just never have these windows where you're able to do effective cross control. So again, Misery, this is kind of a hard lock, just major quality of life talent that came out in, I don't know what it was BFA or Legion, and just saves you a global applying that extra dot. Silence, it's a no-brainer, we want that. And then we're also going to get improved silence, which is last word. So not only do we have 30-second Fear, but we have 30-second silence, and we'll also be able to get Psychic Horror too. So this is going to be very powerful. Maybe this will get nerfed, I don't know. Other classes are way more OP, so hopefully not. Unfurling Darkness, this is again the dot transfer that we've been working with all expansion. If you haven't played Shadowlands, it's when you VT someone, you get a free VT that every 15 seconds you're eligible to do that. So Vampiric Embrace, really great talent, especially in like 2v2. Good to keep your team alive. Helps out a lot with your healer's mana in long matches too. Hallucinations, we want this just for insanity regen. Shadowy Apparitions, I'm going to take. Void Eruption, no-brainer. Voidable, Hungering Void, just going to be better than Surrender to Madness. You don't want to die in PvP. And this doesn't cover the PvP talents, by the way. Like, we might get a Megalomania back or something like that. I don't think the PvP talents have been released, so if you're concerned about not seeing, like, improved Fade or Mass Dispel or Siphon, any of that stuff, that's going to also be released in probably the next chunk of info they let out. We'll obviously need Dispersion. I'm kind of going around in a haphazard way, sorry. Yeah, 30-second reduced cooldown. That's a hard lock. Need that. Improved Damnation, which is crazy. So we're gonna have a 30-second cooldown. So every 30 seconds, we kind of have this like silence, fear, damnation ability to set up some really cool damage, and it's gonna be exciting. Improved apparitions as well, and that's gonna get us into this second tree. So this is basically like Talbot Stratagem here. Having your dots up gives Mind Blast more damage. Amazing. Mind Blast is pretty much useless right now, and they're kind of putting a lot of talents around Mind Blast, so I'm hoping that they're going to make it actually be good. If we look at all of these different talents that improve the damage of Mind Blast, my hopes are that they're trying to make it into a real spell with some kind of scariness to it. Vampiric Insight has a greater chance to occur, and the Vampiric Insight is your Mind Blast proc, so we could go ahead and take that. It's tough to want to get to Mind Devour just because you're going to have to go through Void Torrent and Void Touched, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to go. One thing I didn't talk about is this Monomania is really amazing. It's when you're Mind Flaying, or Mind Searing, in our case, Mind Flay, the rate of your Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on your current target is increased by 100%. So you're almost like amplifying your dots while you're Mind Flaying, and although Mind Flay doesn't do a ton of burst damage, it is going to almost feel that way with the dot amplification. So I think that's a super cool change, because we really didn't have a lot of motivation to Mind Flay as a Shadow Priest. Like, it just didn't do that much damage. It was like, why not just Purge? I don't know. It didn't really do that much to scare the enemy team. And in this meta, if you're standing still, you're dead. So we'll see how that works out in the next expansion. So I'm just going to hop on 2 of these if Mind Blast is good. If Mind Blast isn't good, we'll probably have to work something else out. A lot of these spells have really ambiguous tooltips, and I think the more complicated the game gets, the more spells they integrate. They're just coming up with shit and trying to, I don't know, account for it. So consuming a Vampiric Insight, which is your Mind Blast proc, causes your shadow to animate after a moment. So our shadow is now animated, and for 10 seconds, whenever you cast a spell, your shadow will cast a similar spell. So this kind of makes me think of like monk images, and there's no telling, how hard that's gonna hit. So we'll see what that's like, and I'm just gonna kind of go through and see what I'm missing here. I don't really think we want crit on apparitions. Yeah, definitely improved damnation. Ancient Madness, I'm not really sold on. I don't think that's super effective. This could be really, really good. Oh, I didn't take Psychor. Okay, I need that. So we have 1 point left. So Sand Lane could be really good. So you're kind of going to be torn between, I believe, putting a spot in this or Fortress of the Mind. Another thing we can kind of go over is, I didn't spec into this, but Idol of Seathun, Mind Flay and Mind Sphere have a chance to spawn a Void Tendril. Like, that could, if that damage is good, we might be forced to kind of go this way. But if not, I don't know. And then again, Idol of Yogg-Saron. After consuming 50 shadowy apparitions, you summon a thing from beyond that serves you for 20 seconds. Kind of like a BFA Vision throwback. I really miss Vision, so I'm glad that that's coming back. The thing from beyond blast enemies for shadow damage. Very ambiguous. We don't know how hard that's going to hit. It could be like one-shotting people. It could be doing tickle damage. It could be one-shot. It could be line of sighted. I don't know. We're not sure how this is going to go. So obviously it's going to be easier to test when the PTR comes out. But just at first glance, this seems kind of like a relatively safe build to take. And then with the choice of going for the extra healing or the 5% more Mind Blast damage. So, and we have 1 more point here. So this could go into Palm. Or I guess if we want, I guess we could take Mind Control. I'm not quite sure. People were telling me that Mind Control is being taken out of the Priest Toolkit. And I wasn't sure what they meant by that, but I would love to have it if that's the case. So I'd probably, depending on how much Palm heals, if you do want to go the Palm route, I think you're going to be forced to take this increased prayer mending. That just this makes it seem like that doesn't do anything without this. So if you want to take that, you're going to want to get that. And without giving up one of these other talents, I'm not quite sure how you get there. So I will, I'll just take mind control for now. And boom, that's like my first glance build. I'm sure that there's other ways to go about it. I know people in the Discord have been kind of tinkering, and if you guys aren't in the Discord already, definitely check it out. Here's a couple different builds. People go in their own route. So we got, look at all these little combos. So I'll put a link in the Discord for everybody if you are looking to share your feelings. We'll put that in there. And for now, we're just going to go back to PvPing. I've been playing random comps every night, just whatever we can play. So we did double priest warrior last night, kind of fun, not super sick. The other day we did I think the best comp I've played so far felt like it was with a demo lock, so maybe we'll play that tonight on stream. Either way, we have a lot of rating to go if we want to get rank 1. I got rank 1 the last 3 seasons, and this season has just been so miserable trying to get people to play with me that I'm not sure that I'll get it, but I'll definitely try, so stay tuned for that. Maybe we can have some of my friends out of the bottom of their heart help me, because they have not done that so far. So yep, I'm gonna peace out for now. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. Give me your feedback, anything I missed or didn't cover. I didn't really talk about some of this stuff because I just don't want to go into Psychic Link. I don't want to go into Shadow Crash. I don't want more crit. Yeah, like I don't want any of these things. So yeah, that's all I got for now. Feel free to subscribe, like, all that stuff. Check out the stream. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.